Welcome to Response Able Parenting, the podcast that shows you how to parent in alignment to your emotions, needs, and goals versus your programming, bad advice, and let's face it, outdated strategies that just don't work. You'll get in the trenches support on nervous system and emotional regulation, critical mindset shifts, stronger communication strategies, and more. In this podcast, you'll gain transformational tools that take you from reacting to every frustration to responding with clarity, regulation, and finally setting the example you desire for your kids. I'm Becky Jennings, your new parenting coach, and this is the Response Able Parenting podcast. Let's get into it. It's 2025, and there is more parenting advice than ever before. Yet we're still confused, stuck, and defaulting back to the way our parents raised us in the 80s and 90s. Parenting has evolved since then, and it's time your strategies do too. Welcome to the Response Able Parenting community. This is where you get the support you're looking for so you can make fast, positive, and long-term change in your household. Inside my community, you get access to my signature course, S.T.U.C.K, your emotional regulation roadmap to raising ADHD and strong-willed kids. You have my Fast Way to Regulate challenge, giving you 30 days of nervous system work to completely rewire how you react to the stress of parenting. On top of that, you have weekly opportunities to connect with me and get personalized support on issues that challenged you that week. You also have quarterly workshops, bite-sized mini lessons to keep you motivated, and everything I add for as long as you're a member. This is your place to filter out all the noise and get practical strategies that work. Join the community today and start feeling relief as early as tonight. Hello. Welcome back. If you hear any scratching noises below me, it is the new puppy. He has a brand new bone and he is very into it. He also has massive separation anxiety, so he is going to be right by my side or in my lap. And so I apologize for any background noise. But let's get into our children overreacting, right? We often hear this like, oh, he's just overreacting. Like, don't even pay attention to him. It's just like this stigma, this phrase of overreacting, which is basically minimizing our child's experience and yada, yada. And I can get into that for a very long time. But we have been taught and we have been led to believe that our reaction in the moment must match the moment, right? We've been taught that our reactivity is dependent upon the thing that has happened to us. And if our reaction is anything bigger than that, then we're overreacting. Think back to any argument that you have had with a boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, partner, and they say to you that you're overreacting for what just happened. I want you to just feel that rise of fury in your body once more. And then let's think about our children who do not have a fully developed prefrontal cortex, which is their communication center, which is their logic center, their basic CEO regulator, and think about how they are with emotions. They're 100% emotion. They are operating completely from their primal center, their limbic system, and they live in the 100% emotion space. Now, we also do. We have just been trained and we now have circuitry in our brain that allows for communication and for other areas of logic to hop online. But however, at the beginning of every conflict, we start in emotion. We just have been trained to either suppress it or to handle it in a more logical fashion, which is a little bit more healthy when we are engaging in communication, right? But at the root of it is we have been taught that it is overreacting if your response is larger than the moment. Okay, we know logically on paper, we know that is not true. And why is that not true? Because the body keeps the score. If anybody has read that book before, it's a textbook. It's very intense to read, But essentially, it is saying that your body remembers the moment, remembers the feeling that you had in the moment, the sensation, fight, flight, freeze, fawn, any of those. It remembers it, it stores it in your nervous system in order to protect you in the future. Our brain is not wired for like happy. Our brain is not wired to react to match the moment. Our brain is designed specifically and only to protect us. And so if it takes in information about a memory, about a moment that felt unsafe, that felt uncomfortable, that in any way, shape, or form harmed you, hurt you, made you sad, angry, disappointed, any of that stuff, it's stored. It is stored up in your body. And unless we go through a healthy process of releasing stuck and stored emotions, it remains stored in our body. Hence the title, The Body Keeps the Score. People in this book have had traumatic events that have happened to them decades before, but their nervous system is still responding in the moment in a way that doesn't match the moment. It is still a compilation of all the stored memories. Okay, so now we know that it really has just been this ridiculous notion passed down through generations that the way that we should respond is supposed to match the moment. Well, now we know that that is actually impossible unless you have a complete practice of restabilizing your body on a regular basis, flushing out feelings from situations. Really, you have a dialed in healing practice. And almost all of us don't have that, right? Even therapists don't have that dialed in practice. I mean, some do, but let's be honest. So, our reactivity is a combination of stored feelings, suppressed feelings, feelings tied to past experiences that are being triggered and kind of brought into the existing moment. So it is almost impossible to think that our reaction in the moment will ever match the moment because we're bringing in so many other moments. My husband used to always say to me when we would get in the same recurring argument that happens all the time in relationships, he would say, "I just hate that you bring in the past to this moment." And at one point I was like, "Buddy, the reason I'm bringing in the past is because what you just did is almost identical to what you did in the past." And so it's impossible to not have that compounding effect. And when I said that, he was like, "Oh," because I think he and so many other people were trained to believe that every single moment was its own individual moment, not a building block, not a compilation, not just a piece in the puzzle of all of these moments that affect us emotionally. And so when we look at our child's reaction to, say, cutting the banana the wrong way, or peeling the banana and they wanted to peel it themselves, or the sandwich is cut down the middle versus the triangles, or we have the red cup versus the blue cup, or if we go a little higher, we forget the book that they wanted to read on the car trip, or there's so many things, or they're brushing their teeth at a time that they didn't want, or I put, like, for instance, this morning I put too much toothpaste on the toothbrush and I had a whole meltdown. So if I put the toothpaste on the toothbrush and my child has a meltdown because it's quote unquote too much toothpaste than he wanted, and I sit here and I say, "God, you are overreacting," I need to sit there and go, it's not about the toothpaste. It's about all the things that he's frustrated about in the bathroom process, right? It's about the fact that he's actually really annoyed that the dentist said that I have to brush his teeth for him because he's not doing that great of a job, right? So it's more of that, I guarantee you, than it is the volume and the quantity of toothpaste that I just put on his toothbrush. It's about that he's lost control, that he's not independent in that. So he has that feeling that is being suppressed that he hasn't yet worked through. And when I talk about, or when I put the toothpaste on, that's when it all comes out and it dumps out because he's hit his max threshold of his inability to control the teeth brushing experience. He's hit his threshold and now it's coming out. That's what an overreaction is. It's hitting your max capacity of what you can suppress. It's hitting your max tolerance of what your body can handle without losing it. That's the overreaction. It's not about that one moment. It's about everything combined into that. It's almost like we feel like we have to justify the behavior that comes based off what we think should be the reaction. We have to justify the reaction and see if it's actually worthy. If that, I don't know, that reaction doesn't seem like it's worth the effort. That reaction just seems like a little bit too much. But who are we to say? Who are we to say, especially if we don't have a dialed in, zeroed in practice of releasing stuck and stored emotions that are in our bodies? When dealing with frustrating behavior, yelling can quickly become our default way of handling things. But since you're listening to this podcast, I know you're looking for a better way. That's why I created my free guide to help you get out of the yelling cycle. This 6-part free guide gives you the foundational information to start breaking the toxic yelling cycle. Click the link in my show notes to get your free guide today. This might be the hardest cycle to break as parents, but I have your back, and together we can change the way we respond. And this is what I do in my program, Stuck to Strong, is I help teach you ways that you can identify the trigger in your body. And we can start to connect the dots between why am I actually so reactive in this situation? And then we get to peel back those onion layers and we get to start to see, oh, this is actually why I react. And if I heal that part of me that has actually nothing to do with my child, then I'm less likely to bring that scenario into a situation. Say I put on too much toothpaste and your child has a full freak out. I'm more able to tolerate that moment than if I hadn't actually worked through my own stuff. And so if we're supposed to be teaching our children, this is the proper way to react to certain moments, then we need to have a solid way of releasing our own stored information, our own stored memories, our own suppressed feelings. We need to have a dialed in practice. And if that has to happen moment to moment, daily, if that has to happen weekly, whatever it is, we need as the parent to have a solid way of healing from these moments so that we're not drawing them in to our own reactivity to our children. So if we're going to teach our children how to properly respond to certain moments, we need to give them the opportunity to dump their full buckets of dysregulation. We need to give them the healthy coping strategies, and we need to model that on a regular basis where we actually say, you know what, the way I just reacted to you had actually nothing to do with the toothpaste. It actually had to do with the fact that I was never able to be independent as a kid. I mean, we don't need to go this far, but like, that's what it is. That's truly what it is. Oftentimes if my son speaks to me in a way and it sends me through the roof, it's not necessarily what he said or how he said it. It's the fact that how I would be treated, how I would be punished, how hot sauce would be poured all over my tongue if I even remotely said anything that smacked of what my child just did. And so I still carry that with me into this moment. And so I need to have a process where I kind of heal. It all comes back to our inner child. Let's just be straight up honest. It all comes back to the way that we were raised and the way that we react to our children, unless it's healed. If it remains unhealed, we are constantly going to bring our childhood into our child's childhood. So how do you want your child to grow up? Do you want them to be just a carbon copy extension of your childhood? Or do you want them to be their own independent person that isn't bringing your experience into their life? Like, we need to really be thinking about this. We constantly say, oh, have kids just overreacting? But no, they're actually reacting the same way we are modeling that how to react. They're reacting the exact same way. We're bringing in experiences. We're faux modeling how we want our children to act. But then when the rubber hits the road, or when the shit hits the fan, or however you want to say it, we pop off. We lose our mind. We bring in past experiences too, and we do the exact same thing. We overreact on our kids. So if you really want to shift this, and if you want to learn how to uncouple your experience from the way that you're reacting and teaching your child in the moment, I highly encourage you to book a free call with me. See if coaching is a great option for you. If you don't want to do coaching, I have so many different programs that you can dip your toe into and get some solid nervous system work, systems work, education, trigger work, all of that stuff I have available for you. So there's a lot we can be doing to move the needle forward. So can we please, instead of looking at our child's behavior as overreacting, look at it as, oh my God, they're doing exactly what I am teaching them to do, which is to pull in past experiences into the existing moment and explode when you hit your max capacity of tolerance. Yikes. I am so guilty of this, and it is definitely something that I am now keeping top of mind, so that as I move into the summer months where I am 100% the default parent, and with them 24 hours a day, this is something that I'm going to be working on a lot, is this mine or is this theirs? And if it's theirs, how can I help them through the moment to get unstuck? And if it's mine, how can I step away, work on that, and then come back and actually be the supportive parent that I want to be? Okay, that was it for this week. I cannot wait to dive into more of this stuff, and I will see you next week. Thank you for listening to the Responsible Parenting Podcast. If you like what you heard, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. If you know someone who would benefit from this podcast, I'd be honored if you'd share this episode with them. Until next time, know that you are enough, you are capable, you've made it through all of your hardest days, and we will keep growing on this parenting journey together. This podcast was produced by Kim Kelty and myself, Becky Jennings, and edited by the Kelty Method, Branding and Podcasting.